Take a look at this before and after brow. The after is a little bit on the darker side, but I used our new brow pen product. So you want to stick around. You want to see how I made this after look the way it does, and you're going to see me apply it. So you definitely want to stick around, know how to use this new product, or at least my tips. Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert, and I hope to become your brow expert. If you like this video, if you feel like you've gotten some tips out of it, please subscribe, engage with me, give me a like, let me know that you've learned something today. So like I said, it's a new product, so you definitely want to stick around. Some of you might be new here. I still shape brows at the Anastasia salon in Beverly Hills, and I've been there for over 25 years, so you definitely want to come by and get your best brows shaped. So like I said, this product is brand new. It's been actually on the market for maybe like a week now. It's all the tips that I have for you to make these beautiful hair strokes. I believe this is always going to be the way to make your brows look a little bit fuller, darker, or just fill in some gaps. So please stick around, and I hope you're going to get some tips, and let me know if you did. She's got beautiful eyebrows, right? But there are some gaps, if you can see, throughout the eyebrows. So that's why another reason why the Hairstroke pen is the perfect product to use. This is not as intimidating as our other brow pen. And you know what? Throughout the years, I will make some videos on the difference from the brow pen to the Hairstroke pen. So this product, I love that this one has a spoolie brush. The other side, there's the pen. Now, it's a lot thinner. Those of you that are using the brow pen, you know that the applicator is much thinner. So that is a game changer right there. Makes it so much easier to apply those lines to give that faux hair stroke look, right? So like I said, she's got gaps throughout the eyebrows. And you know what? Apply some highlighter first. This is what I think is very important to create a light border. This is going to make the application so much easier, especially for those of you that have sparse brows, more so than this model, and you're not sure how to get started. This is a great way to get started. On me, looks like I already have something on here. I have an old brow tattoo, so that's something you might want to consider. Not the tattoo, but apply some powder if you're already using powder, or a little bit of pencil as the background. So I have a tattoo background. Give yourself a background very lightly. Okay, if you don't want to do this highlighter, do that and do the highlighter. But as you can see, you know, the brows look a little bit thicker, or darker, should I say. So like I said, just a little bit, just right underneath is going to be like your light template. It's going to be very important to do that. Don't worry about blending it in. We'll do that later. I froze this area because I really want you to see how long and thin it is. That's why it's going to be so easy to make those little lines, to give yourself those hair strokes. Now, if you have just large gaps throughout, or just one large area, this is another really good tool to use because it lasts for over 24 hours, or 24 hours, a full day. I'm behind her, but if you're doing it on yourself, try holding it this way. You obviously don't want to hold it this way because the idea is to make those hair strokes. Typically, when I start with the eyebrows, I always start at the middle to the end. That's because the first time you touch is always the heaviest. In this case, you don't have to do that. You can actually start up in the front, but the front, you notice, look at this. Beautiful. And notice I'm going right at the base of the highlighter. That's why it was really important. So very, very easy. Trust me. Try it out. You'll see what I mean. It's 90 degrees, right? Middle of the nostril, right here. This is how far in the brow it's supposed to be. So you notice that I did leave a little bit of space. I didn't go all the way up in the front. You will do that towards the end. It's a lot easier because, again, the first time you touch, it's a lot heavier. You can also test it on your hand to see how hard or light to press. It's all about light pressure. That's with powder, pencil. I always love light pressure. Now I go a tiny bit up in the front, just a little bit. Then I just go throughout. I just go these little lines throughout the eyebrows, random areas. You don't have to try to cover every area at the beginning. Just go throughout and make these little angle lines. Angle, not straight up, right? Angle lines all throughout the eyebrows. This gives you a better picture as to what to do, right? It looks a little jarring, but trust me, trust the process. Okay, so this is what I'm doing right here. Now I'm going to get really close up to you here. See, right here, mine's actually pretty easy here. And I'm not going that slow. Oh, I just raised up my eyebrows as I'm talking. Who does that? I do. All of us do, right? But the idea is that you can really see I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do videos throughout the years of the different colors as well. This one is dark brown. The one I'm using on her is actually granite. Really, really dark. That's because I want you to see the lines. But you notice that up in the front, I'm going really fast. That's because I want the lines to be so light and so thin. So you don't have to go that fast, but you know, the light touch really gives you these little thin lines. And you could clearly see on myself, right? I'm not blending it in that much because I really want you guys to take a look at these lines. And you can see that the tattoo underneath, that's faded away, has helped me a little bit. This is important. Now, you don't have to do this if you're just filling in a gap or just a couple of sparse areas, but that's why I love this Hairstroke pen. This bristle, the spoolie brush, is brilliant. It's attached to the pen. That's why everyone needs one. So you're lightly to medium pressure combing through. You're blending it out, and say you want a little bit more of a powdery look, then you want just lines straight throughout. Now, if you go with the lighter color, this is dark brown, we have medium brown. If you go with a lighter color, you may not need to do this as much. So again, just very light scratches, really. And you press a tiny bit harder in the areas that you find to be a little bit on the darker side, but this really spreads it out a little bit without taking away the lines, because obviously the idea is having these lines, right? This is when you really know, okay, this is where I go back between this. Now, the reason why you just do lines just throughout first is if you do lines everywhere, you get it too perfect. Eventually, you'll get it really perfect. Random lines gives it more of a natural look. And so just randomly, if you see a large hole, just touch it with a light little scratch. This is where you're obviously seeing it come to life, and it makes a little bit more sense, right? So just if I see one right here, I just go through here. If I see a little hole here, I go right here. Just touch, touch, touch. Speaking of touch, look at this. Now, if it gets a little wet, use your finger and touch. Touch your skin so that way the wetness goes away, because it can get a little wet. This is the time to shape your eyebrows, you guys. When you use this brush and spread out the highlighter, this is the time to, like, you know, really sharpen the edges. At the top, look at this. I'm going really slow. Look at her hair sticking straight up, right? You can see right here that the color doesn't go straight out as much. Her hair sticks up. Yours might too. If yours don't, trim a little, but not much. This is why I find this to be so important, okay? If you want it to be a little bit lower, it's a little too high, you want the front to be a little lower, this is the time to do this along with spreading out the highlighter. Beautiful, right? And the after is not bad. I understand that. But you know what? The bottom can be really much lighter, meaning the after can be lighter. But her head of hair, she likes her head of hair to be really dark, like jet black, and there's no like highlights throughout. So this actually makes more sense if you saw her all the, you know, with the whole hair and all. So you have to trust me on that. You know, her eyes are closed for her protection, but sometimes I have some people like giving me the thumbs up that they could have their eyes open. But anyway, she can actually get away with medium brown, taupe. So it's just, these are just a few other colors, but like I said, I'll touch on that later. So this might feel really advanced for you, but I promise you, if you just give it a try, you will be so surprised how easy it is to use. It's one of the reasons why she developed this product. It has taken a while to make this pen the way it is, because she's a perfectionist. It's gotta not only go on well, it's gotta stay on well, it's gotta be easy for you to do. So I love this product because of that spoolie side. And you know what? The package looks so good, right? And there's a reason for why it looks the way it does. The darker side of the tip is the spoolie brush. Brilliant. So you always know, okay, what side to grab. Say you don't feel like you need the spoolie brush today. But the lighter side of the tip is where the pen is. Beautiful, beautiful, and so smart, of course. So like I said, I will be doing some future videos on some of the different colors when I get the model that will give me their consent. But I have that old tattoo, which is why I chose a dark brown pen. But I could also use medium brown. These colors have a little bit of a warm tone because my tattoo ink has turned very cool. So that's why I've chosen those colors. So you might think, oh, I'm your color. I have that tattoo ink. What color do I use? For those of you that are lighter than me, or like say your brow looks like the model, try medium brown, but more like maybe taupe. Try light colors too if you're just wanting to learn and you're intimidated by the darker color, even though your hair is darker. But you know, everything helps, like the highlighter underneath, like maybe adding a little bit of powder or pencil. If you use a pencil, make sure you spoolie that as much as you can so that way you still can see the pencil, but it's very, very light. Gives you that background. It's all about that background. And the highlighter just is all about giving you that guideline, as well as it looking brighter. It actually makes the brows look a little darker if you notice at the beginning. Always have this brush 18 because it really just cleans everything up. And by the way, I do try to mention all the products specifically in the tagging if you want to purchase it right away. Sometimes the specific colors does not come up in the tag, which is why everything will be listed in the descriptions. So don't worry about that, including my makeup. Today, it was very, very subtle. Actually, whatever I have on my cheeks, which is the Magic Trio blush, I'm obsessed with that in pink. I put a little bit of that on my lips. So it's a great product to travel with because it does so much. You might be able to put a little bit on your eyelid. I don't know. Anyway, so I hope that this helps. Please let me know that it did. Thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next week.